If you shave your cooch, but not your booty hole, is that the same as a mullet?
My tongue out her ass and left. I'm on TV! Oh shit! First cops, now this? Oh.
Having a wonderful day. We're discussing the case of Sebastian Rogers. He's a 15-year-old autistic boy when he disappeared on February 26, 2024, and he has not been seen by video. He hasn't been seen by a private citizen, and there has been no scent dogs to track his location, but we are told that he disappeared and last seen on February 26th. This child disappeared from inside an alleged locked home that has no signs of forced entry and no signs of him leaving the home. This tale started on February 26 when a call came in to the Sumner County non-emergency dispatch line around 6:33 in the morning. It was learned that Sebastian Rogers, an autistic and medically needy boy, seemingly walked out of his home and was never seen again. At least that's what we are led to believe. By February 27th in the afternoon, an Amber Alert was issued for Sebastian Rogers, alleging that there's a possibility of an abduction of this boy to have taken place. None of us were really clear at the time why this Amber Alert had surfaced, since they kept expressing that there was no possibility that led them to believe he was abducted. We fast forward to March 4th. March 4th was a critical and pivotal moment in this case, and that's when law enforcement decided to scale back their search efforts. This would have been communicated with the parents on March 3rd or before. On March 3rd, that was the first interview the mom and stepdad provided on a Duchess panel. On March 4th, they did their first mainstream media interview with WSMV. And both of those interviews were a little odd. We were unaware what had really transpired, and we were hanging on every word the mom and stepfather said. But there were some things that just didn't seem right. One of those things is their over-explanation of how he was not in trouble and how he had not been in trouble recently and how he had a good day and how they just are racking their brains and can't figure out why he would run away from home. Seth Rogers, the biological father of Sebastian Rogers, went to media and started expressing some concerns with the statements or the story that his ex-wife was providing. He just felt like something was off. By March 18th, on the Smiley's World interview and the subsequent interviews after that, such as Nancy Grace, it was clear that there was a meltdown between the family dynamic between the mom and stepfather and with Seth Rogers, the biological father. It seemed like the family unit that Chris and Katie were trying to proclaim was so great at the time of the son's disappearance has now have many public fractures in that facade. We still have no clue where Sebastian Rogers is, but what we do know is Seth has done everything we as the public expect. He's been out there looking for his son since day one. He's provided us his alibi and the supporting documents to prove his alibi, and furthermore has done a polygraph test on the Nancy Grace show, which was publicly released, identifying that Seth Rogers passed his polygraph test. So where do we go from here? The leads lead where they lead. Let's go through some of the information. We were told that this child had no history of running away from home, yet woke up in the middle of the night one day after having an amazing weekend and took off with not even his shoes on. We learned from law enforcement that there is no scent and no video of Sebastian on it, and there have been no eyewitnesses coming forward that have seen Sebastian since the infamous video at the Texas Roadhouse Grill. We were also made to believe that his life was a very normal life, and then we learned that this mom and stepfather, while trying to conceal the information, have been trying to rehome this child as early as October 2022, and since moving into their home on Stafford Court, have had 5 CPS reports called against them from third parties such as teachers. We were told from the beginning that all parents were cooperative. They've all taken a polygraph test. They are all cleared by law enforcement. However, we learned the only person that had taken a polygraph test was Katie Proudfoot. Chris and Seth had never taken a polygraph test, and again, for months, he proclaimed he had been cleared and passed his polygraph test. The mom and stepdad also stated on many interviews they were doing everything they can. They were searching, they were posting flyers, they were putting up signs. However, their neighbors and their community stated that that was also a lie. They had not seen them. And when they questioned them about it, they got into their camper and took off. The mom and stepdad were seen eating out during search efforts. We're seeing motorcycle shopping during a vigil, and we learned that they went to a motorcycle rally while law enforcement was still searching for their son. For many of us, these are very disturbing and problematic behaviors and actions from the mom and stepdad, which is what raises red flags in our eyes and in our minds. Nothing has been stated to resolve that issue. And lastly, I also find it very concerning that Seth has provided his alibi with supporting documentation. Katie has provided her alibi, whether we believe it or not. She has provided it. The one person that has never provided us one scintilla of information related to his alibi or where he was during the time of Sebastian's disappearance is Christopher Proudfoot, the stepfather of Sebastian Rogers. And he still proclaims to this day that law enforcement has specifically told him and him alone not to reveal his timeline. Again, that's not something that is typical. Typically, the person that's the furthest away, their alibi has no relevance to the case. So since his has relevance to the case, wouldn't that conclude that he is an integral part of the Sebastian Rogers case? Let me know your thoughts. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the Bullhorn Betty channels on multiple platforms such as X, Instagram, Facebook, here on YouTube, and hopefully TikTok if it survives January 19th. I hope you all have an amazing day. God bless each and every one of you that's watching this video. What we do know as fact, however, is that Seth has been searching for his son ever since his son disappeared. Seth has publicly taken a polygraph. He has publicly produced his work records. This man has done everything he could possibly do, including working with the FBI, working with me to advocate for his son, calling on the national media, getting Nick the Hat and Dog the Bounty Hunter, and we're here with what from the mom and stepfather? Nothing for almost 10 months. Shoddy searches at best, working with an unscrupulous PI, felons, and including one searcher utilizing substances, illicit substances, while searching for their son. Well, good evening, my beautiful coffee beans. It's nice to see you. Tomorrow is Love Day. Feminist Love Day, so I want to be the first to tell all of my beautiful beans happy Valentine's Day. The love is in the air. The love is in the air. I hear there are some trolls in chat. We expect them to be trolls in chat because they've got to try to misinform and disinform the general public. That's why we do not listen to them, and they have to wait 24 hours to even post anything. How unhinged is that? But today, Bullhorn Betty was a little busy. Just a little. Oh, that's right. And Phil, it's already Valentine's Day. Bullhorn Betty was a little busy today. I don't know if you guys can see that. That is flowers. You can't see the pink over here because it's washed out, but those are pink hydrangeas. And my mommy and best friend, look at that. They came out gorgeous. Look at that. You can't see it on here. Let me send it to myself. That's what I'm going to do. I'll send it to myself and I'll show you guys. I'll show you. It's coming. We might have some lag. So anyways, I felt, what do you mean my drop? But how did it fail? Let's try it again. There we go. That's what I'm talking about. Okay. Now I just got to remember how to do my previewer. I'm sorry, my layers. I'm never gonna quit teasing that unscrupulous PI. Look, she was showing all of her layers on the screen. It's a previewer. MacBook previewer. So they came like this. I went to an actual wholesale flower shop so I could get the fresh of the freshest. And there. Oh, look at that. And look at what Mommy Bullhorn got for Valentine's Day. Aw. And it's kind of homemadey, right? It's kind of homemadey. Because I did it, I went out and picked every single one myself. Every single thing, all the filler. I did all of that all by my little self. So I went to a wholesale florist. I got like 4 hydrangeas because I had to make, I knew there was going to be some filler left over and I wanted to make me a little something because I got to show love to myself, right? So I made myself. So I got 3 bouquets out of it. I thought that was pretty good. Nothing as luxurious as my mom. My mom and my best friend got like the wow package. I kind of went a little skimpy on myself. I used the leftovers. But it came, hey, even the leftovers, right? Those came out awesome. They came out awesome. So I'm very, very fortunate that we have that. And, okay, I'm not done yet. I'm not done. Look what else I did. So I made those flowers. I went and picked them up. Went and picked them out, which, believe it or not, because you get so much selection. Like, do you go this way? Do you go that way? What do you do? I think that's why people just call a florist, because they know how to just what goes together, right? So I'm sitting there and putting them like, does this look good? An hour later, I get out, I get back and I'm like, oh crap, these things were in a refrigerated room. I mean, the whole place was like a refrigerated room. And so I come back here and I'm like, I don't want these things to like die, so I'm like, maybe I should just go ahead and put them together. So I stick them all in the water. Thank God I could find a big enough vase. So I stick them all in water and I let them there. And then I'm like, okay, I need to cook lunch. So I made lunch because it was my turn to cook. And I told my neighbor well, not lunch, but supper, that I'd bring over supper, which was quick. I also had time to treat myself. I have been one busy girl today. I'm just saying. I feel the love in the air. Got the floral arrangements done. Made some enormous cookies. Taking a bite out of crime. some Dutch chocolate milk. Okay, guys. Okay. Now I am fueled for this next part that we're going to be getting into. Thank you for all being here. We already have too many people in here for me to say hi to you guys individually. So I will go up just a little bit and start about midway. 5D, I stole from you. I ran a whole show on your stuff. I hope you don't mind. It was great. Thanks for snagging that. I appreciate it. 5D's up in the house. Good evening. I'm so sorry, Delilah. MJ, Jen in Jersey, it's nice to see you. Joanne, Kim G, the real me too. Denise, good evening. Our beautiful Sonia up in the house. SRK, it's good to see you. MJ, it's nice to see you. Fusion, Buckshot, hello, my love. Our beautiful unicorn, Indiana. Lady for Justice, it's always nice to have you. You can't see me, but I can. Good evening to you, love. Good evening. Karen, good evening. Gypsy Girl, it's nice to see you. Kendra, Show Poodles is up in the house this wonderful evening. Lady Roses, Grave Crime with Grace, it's nice to see you. Truth in Time, good evening. Our beautiful Melanie, happy. You know what I said to my mom? She didn't know I was coming over. It was one of those things where I popped up, but I knew I had to get back here. I couldn't stay that long, but we'll do something. We'll do something. I was just excited about getting the bouquets done, so I dropped them off earlier this afternoon. So I ring the doorbell, and my mom, you can kind of see her shadow coming through. And she gets to the door. She's kind of shocked. And I said, Happy VD. I sure did. Oh, the things I say. My mom just looks at me. I think she might have said it back too. Oh, good gracious. Thank you, Outer Banks. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership, don't forget to tell Outer Banks thank you. I see a few more, so I'll welcome you all at the same time so we don't have to hear the screaming goat that much, not right back to back. So it's nice to see you. Who else do we have up in the house? Crazy Cat Lady, it's nice to see you. Sorry, I took a bite out of crime and it stuck between my teeth. Cajun, it's nice to see you. Denise, good evening. Lady 7 Up. Leslie, keep it real. It's nice to see you. Dreaming of blue skies and sandy beaches. It's nice to have you. Denise says fudge. No raisin, just cocoa. Is that what it says, cocoa? Show Poodles gifted a Bullhorn Betty membership. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership from Show Poodles, don't forget to say thank you. Good evening, Kendra, followed by Pamela, gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships, don't forget, I guess you're not going to receive all 5, but if you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, don't forget to tell Pamela, thank you. Oh, and I missed one. Lady Justice, thank you so much. If you received your gifted Bullhorn Betty membership from Outer Banks, Show Poodle, or Pamela, welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. There we go. Sweet Stevia, it's nice. Stevia, I can't speak. Good evening. Primrose is up in the house. It's nice to see you. Sheila, it's nice to see you as well. We got Groovy Gal going on here. Shirley H is up in the house with her dingle dwarfs and dingle whatevers. Oh, you guys are great. You guys are great. VA, Chaos, Jennifer, it's nice to see you all this evening. If I missed anybody, this is just a huge blanket. Oh, I see Belinda, Mag, it's nice to see you. D Real, BJ, Tracy, it's nice to see you. Oh, Nani. 28 months. Wow. It's been a while. Thank you for your love and your continued support. Much love. Much love. You are definitely appreciated. Thank you. Thank you. Melanie, thank you so much for your contribution. That's so sweet. Aw, Grace upon Grace gifted 5 Bullhorn Betty memberships. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, don't forget to tell Grace thank you. And welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. Dusty Garbage Girl. I think you guys just like me hitting the button. Dusty Garbage Girl, thank you so very much. Welcome to the fam, guys. All right. So before we get started, because some of you guys probably weren't with me this morning, we think because of the work that Jennifer Coffin-Daffer did by posting this, that I do believe we may have found the identity of the person those remains belong to over there in Cumberland County. So for those that were not here this morning, here is the gentleman right here. His name's Cody Ramsey. He actually disappeared on Westall Road, further up, like 1800 block of what. So he's still a missing person. He's from that area. He's from the very road that remains were found on, and he's been missing since 2022, and they have not located him. So with all of the information that we have, it is most likely we're going to find out it's most likely going to be Cody as opposed to any of the other cases that we've been covering. So I wanted to make sure that everybody knew, still his family is going to be getting some really horrible, horrible news once they finish the DNA. So please just keep the Ramsey family in your thoughts and prayers because they're going to be going through a lot. And we don't know what happened. With him being so close to home, you just don't know. Could it have been, foul play, or could it have been natural causes? And with him being so close to home, I don't know. I don't know. I really don't know. But I've known people walking before that literally have just dropped where they are. We had Ruth Sakala. We were searching for an older lady named Ruth Sakala in Pasco County, and we felt like she was around there somewhere. Her family believed she was okay, that she had just, went off on her own, but she had never been gone that long. She's been gone, several hours up to a day before, but nothing where when we were meeting with the family, it was over a month later. And so it was well over a year, I believe, before they found, her remains. And it was on her walk to wherever she was going. She just dropped dead right there. And it was, a lot of shrubbery and tall grass that wasn't manicured. And therefore, she was hidden and obscured. And even with ground searches, wasn't located for a really, really long time until somebody stumbled across her. There was presumed no foul play in her case. So this, I don't know why I feel like that, but the way it's said about the, dangling out of the earthly confines really makes you feel like there was a shallow grave, but it could have just been a bunch of shrubbery, that has overgrown, much like what happened in the Ruth Sakala case. So I'm very interested into finding out whether it ultimately ends up being Cody or someone else, and whether there was foul play involved or not, which I don't know if they would be able to determine that with, unless they, knife or, bullet, that you can really see whether your skin's there or not. Those leave patterns on the bones and stuff like that. So I guess we'll have to wait until that's done. But This is who I think it could possibly be. Everything just makes sense in that. All right, guys, thanks for allowing me to bend your ear. I just wanted to give you that information. Now, we do have some interviews, and I've been trying to focusing. Even in the intro, I realized I had the date wrong because I said something like Smiley's World on March 18th, and I think that was the Duchess interview. But or maybe it might even have been Chronicles of Olivia. I might have gotten them mixed up with. But Smiley's was actually on March 20th, not March 18th, but March 20th. So there was also a Nancy Grace interview with Seth Rogers on the 20th as well. And one of the things that I've noticed throughout this year, studying this whole family and this whole situation, and of course reporting that stuff back to you guys, one thing we've learned is it always appears every time the mom and stepdad go on for an interview, it seems like the person they talk the least amount about is Sebastian. It seems like every time they have an interview, there's some type of agenda to try to help benefit them or their appearance in the public eye. It's very rare that we have exhibited those behaviors from the father, Seth Rogers. And so there was a lot of people kind of beating me up, saying I'm not focusing on Seth. I'm not, showing any videos about him. And so we started going back through the interview list, just like we did for the mom and stepdad, but with Seth. And then it started being where we're noticing how much Seth just wants to bring his son home from the very first interview. Didn't talk about himself, didn't talk about any type of, problems he was having. He just wanted to talk about Sebastian. He wanted to speak to Sebastian in case Sebastian heard him. And you really saw this father in the earlier days because, we've been so focused on Chris and Katie that it probably was right to go back and look at Seth because we forget how incredibly determined he was out the gate to find his son. And then you compare that to what we've learned about the mom and stepdad sitting on their rear end for almost 10 months, not lifting a finger to try to help or make suggestions on where to find Sebastian or get search crews together unless they're a pack of misfits on drugs and felons. And, or manipulating pictures and reports and everything else like that. We're just sitting here wondering, maybe it has taken us a little too long to show Seth. Because every time we show Seth, he is a determined father looking for his son to bring his son home safely. Every time we turn on an interview, I'm waiting for the aha moment. The only time we get the aha moments will be coming later down the road when people have pushed this man to his absolute breaking point. So I think it's really good for us to go back and look at this. And so I went back and I compared the first set of the mom and the stepdad on an interview at the same time. But when I realized Seth's on an interview with Nancy Grace at the same time that Chris and Katie are on an interview with Smiley Stories World, I'm like, this is going to be polar opposite interviews. I can almost guarantee it. And I think that this would probably be the apples to apples comparison, so to speak, if you will, for date and time interviews. This, like the other one, it was like a 6-minute, interview versus an hour and a half or something like that. So it really wasn't apples to oranges, or it really was apples to oranges. This one's a 40-minute interview on Nancy Grace to a like 2.5 hour interview on Smiley's World. But I honestly think we can really see some stuff right in the first like 20 or 30 minutes of both of them talking. And I think that this here is really, you can really see it more than any other time, the polar opposites, the determinations of one parent as opposed to the other. And I find it odd and interesting because we were told the parents, at least at this time, were on the same page or trying to be on the same page. But we were realizing that one set was deceiving the public while the other person was, questioning literally everything at this point. Something didn't sit right with the father since he arrived at that home. He knew in his gut something was not right, so much so he pointed out his son's shoes. It was that moment in my mind that I truly believe that's when Seth's like, what's going on here? I really truly believe that was when he wasn't blind. He wasn't blinded by it. I think he just kind of just did what he knew to do, and that was to search for his son. The anger and everything else, I'm sure, came later. But for those days, the only goal was find his son. So now we're going to fast forward to right before a month of Sebastian's disappearance. This is all happening on March 20th, about just shy of a week before his 30-day mark of being missing. And we're going to listen to first Seth on the Nancy Grace, and we're going to pop in over to the Smiley's World interview, Smiley Stories World interview. Sorry. All right. Oh, wow. More people. Thank you guys. You guys are super, super sweet. God bless you all. God bless you all. We'll go through all that in just a second as well. So thank you all for being here.
Is a missing autistic.
I don't need to get there. I want to get to, he's already on there. So she kind of jumps right in with him. Okay, so that's probably why I'm waiting here. All right.
Teen, Sebastian Rogers. The hunt is on for this boy. Did he wander away from home entirely barefoot? This as eerie surveillance footage emerges outside Sebastian's home, purportedly of two people with flashlights. What does that mean? I'm Nancy Grace. This is Crime Stories. Thank you for being with us here at Crime Stories and on Sirius XM 111. First of all, listen to this.
When I woke him up for school, he wasn't there. I took a second and walked through the house looking for him in case he'd gotten up and was trying to get breakfast or something, because he did that sometimes. About 3 minutes in, give or take, I was on the phone with my husband. I said, I can't find him. He said, what do you mean you can't find him? I said, he's not in the house.
You are hearing Sebastian's mother describing the moment that she realizes Sebastian is gone. Again, I'm Nancy Grace, and I want to thank you for being with us. The search for Sebastian is on. And let me, right off the top, give you the tip line, 615-451-3838. Repeat, 615-451-3838. Look at him. This boy needs our help. Where is Sebastian? Joining me, an all-star panel to make sense of what we know right now. But first, I want to go out to a very special guest. This is Sebastian's father.
Sorry, my microphone was muted. I want you to notice Seth's face. I want you to notice his face right off the bat. He is not happy to be here. He's not happy to be in this situation. But one thing he is doing is he is showing his face. We stopped seeing the face of mommy and daddy dearest after March 4th. That was the last interview. Well, then March 18th or March 17th, 16th or 17th with Chronicles of Olivia. But that was it. There has been no more outside of Reels. I don't think there's been any more interviews with the face. Seth doesn't cover his face at all in any interview, unless that is the design of that particular interview.
Joining us, Seth Rogers. Mr. Rogers, thank you for being with us. Could you recount for us when you learned Sebastian is missing? I know it just seems completely surreal.
Son, there's no words for it. I mean, when I found out that he was gone, I was just like, I headed over to Katie's house, see what was going on, and he's not here. I don't know where he's at. I've been looking for him every day. It's just...
Seth, what have you been doing to look for him every day? And I know that to be true. You are looking for him every day. Guys, please look at Sebastian. This young boy is autistic. He may not, in a scared and emotional and lost state, he may not even be able to tell someone who he is and where his home is.
We're going to pause there. Let's see what the first few statements from the mom are related to her son on the same exact day. She's coming up on a show, Smiley Stories World. You can hear her. She's very respectful and just trying to ask some questions, which it sounds like Mr. Proudfoot reached out to her. And she brings them on the show. So it was basically at their request, it almost sounded like. I could be wrong. If Smiley Stories World is in the chat, she can confirm or deny that, or you guys can ask her on her channel later when she's live. But it sounded like that just in this first few moments. I forgot in this interview, she had Katie on her panel alone. I usually scroll through it until I see, because they're usually together on the same one, or, I forgot that they had two, they were calling from two different phones. So this was pretty interesting because this is the mother straight out the gate, which was shocking. Let's listen to how the mother on the same day acts when being asked questions about, now mind you, Nancy Grace is an interrogator, right? She asks a lot of questions on her channel. So that's why I said this is more closely aligned than the other one.
Being spread and my son.
That. Okay, I see Katie. Hold on.
Here it is.
Hi.
Hello.
Okay. I'm kind of surprised, but
Hey, more damn evil.
thank you and welcome for coming up here. I appreciate that. How are you feeling today?
Pretty terrible, to be honest with you. 24 days in, and there's a bunch of horrible things being said and a bunch of misinformation being spread. And my son,
Right out the gate. Don't tell me there wasn't motivation for them to come on this show. Are they here for Sebastian or to talk about his disappearance? Or are they already here talking about their innocence? Them. Listen to this. Goes right on in. Comes up. So we're at 3:20 when Smiley Stories World is about to welcome Katie on her show. At 3:20. You guys see the number down here? I don't know if you guys can see it on your screen or not. I'm on this screen. Hopefully you guys can see it down here. I can't see it even if you guys are saying yes. So let's listen. Let's see how many seconds it takes before she's wanting to correct something as opposed to talking about her son that's missing. Let's listen. Let's watch.
Okay, I see Katie. Hold on. Hi.
She actually got on at 3:23. 3:23. Her box popped up. 3:23. Let's see how many seconds it takes.
Hello.
Okay. I'm kind of surprised, but thank you and welcome for coming up here. I appreciate that. How are you feeling today?
Pretty terrible, to be honest with you. 24 days in, and there's a bunch of horrible things being said. And
wow. Horrible things being said. 23 days in. And horrible things are being said. How about 23 days in and I haven't seen my son? I haven't seen my son. My son. This is ridiculous. Not even 30 seconds. Exactly, because it was 23. So what is that, 15 seconds? 15 seconds in. 15 seconds, guys. "15 seconds. And now it's already in this interview about Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers in 15 seconds. It went from being about Sebastian to being about how Katie and Chris feel. 15 seconds. Very first question. It's all about them. Let's hear the first question because she's talking right up here, right? She's giving her intro. Then she gets here. So we're at 1:56. Let's listen. Let's get the exact time.
Being with us. Could you?
Okay. So we're at 1:57. Let's see how many seconds it takes for him to talk about himself.
Count for us when you learn Sebastian is missing. I know it just seems completely surreal.
There's no words for it. I mean, when I found out that he was gone, I was just like, I headed over to Katie's house, see what was going on, and he's not here. I don't know where he's at. I've been looking for him every day. It's just.
Seth, what have you been doing to look for him every day? And I know that to be true. You are looking for him every day. Guys, please look at Sebastian.
So she's not giving him a lot of talk time, but already the very first question was not about him or how he's feeling or how well he's dealing with all this. He made it about his son.
This young boy is autistic. He may not, in a scared and emotional and lost state, he may not even be able to tell someone who he is and where his home is. He is out there lost, and the Lord only knows where. Seth, what have you been doing to find Sebastian?
Been handing out flyers every day. I've been on some podcasts. I've done some face-to-face interviews on the news. I'm just anything I can. I've been to the south side of Nashville. I've been to Franklin. I've been to Bellevue.
Do you hear all the very specific language he's doing when asked what is he doing to find his son? He's not using vague languages. He's saying where he's gone. He's saying what he's done. He's using very specific language. Not only that, but he has trekked back and forth across the state of Tennessee, searching every single lead that he has been given. Everybody wonders and keeps asking, where's he searching now? Where's he searching now? He spent 6 solid months searching almost the entire state of Tennessee. Every lead that came in, even when that North Carolina boy, that lead came in, he got in his truck and left. Katie states on social media they need to wait until law enforcement has made a determination, and Chris came right out and said, nope, it's not him. His own mother and father couldn't decide whether it was him or not, but Chris knew. Let's not forget that. True story.
Through Henderson, I've been through Gallatin, I've been through Clarksville, I've been through Oak Grove, Kentucky. I mean, I'm handing out flyers, finding out. I mean, I want everybody to see my son and know that he's missing, and that if you see him, call 911. I need my son back.
I'm just trying to get my mind around what you and Sebastian's mom are going through, because when I go in to wake up my twins, if they're not in the bed, which is rare, they're usually still asleep. If they're not in the bed, I immediately glance in the bathroom, and if they're not there, that's totally out of character. They're always right there in their bedroom in the morning when I wake them up. And that would be totally out of the normal if they weren't there. Tell me your understanding of what happened.
Katie told me that when she woke up Monday morning that he wasn't in his room and she can't find him. And I heard that once I got there. When I got off of work, I had a text message from the stepfather, Chris, and a missed phone call. And I called him, and he told me that Sebastian was missing, and he didn't know what had happened.
Again, we're going to keep hitting this because I think it needs to sink in. Chris asked him no questions. Chris asked him no questions like, have you talked to Sebastian today? Did he leave a message? When you talked to him last, was he upset about anything? None of those normal questions that we as I'm going to say parents, because I have grandchildren and I have stepchildren. I don't have biological children, but I can tell you my grandchildren are mine. I was there for their births. And my stepchildren I love very much. So even to this day, right? Even to this day, if anything happens to anybody, even the one daughter Vince has that's in Virginia that I haven't seen, we've seen like once, right? Didn't even know she existed until after we were married. So we've seen her once. Even if she called tomorrow, if she called tomorrow and said she needed help, we'd be there. We'd absolutely be there. But for some reason, the only person out there looking outside of law enforcement and volunteers is his father. Mommy and stepdaddy take a back seat. We'll get back to this.
So I had
okay, let me ask you a couple of quick questions, Seth. Number one, is there any type of a burglar alarm in the home?
I don't know. I don't live there.
Okay, that is not helping me. Let me see if I can find that out. I'm going to go to Aaron Cantrell on that.
You notice how she's asking him the same questions as she's similar questions that she asked Chris and Katie, except she was trying to get kind of like an idea of the floor plan of their home as well. And they were very militant. They were very robotic in their interview with her. But she's asking what happened that day as he knows it. And he doesn't know much. From what he's been told is his ex-wife went to wake up his son and he wasn't in his bed. And nobody's seen him since. That's what he basically said. That's what he knows. Now let's go over and listen to what Katie has to say. Remember, 15 seconds in, she's upset about what people are saying instead of looking for her son.
And a bunch of misinformation being spread, and my son is still missing. And so it's horrible. There's not a better word for it, to be honest with you.
Yes, ma'am. Well, I'm glad you come up here, and I will. I asked my chat to please be respectful, and I will let you say what you feel. And again, I wasn't expecting this, but you're more than welcome to say what you feel. And if it's okay, I would like to ask some questions, but I would like to talk about Sebastian, and maybe we could just start there. Would that be okay?
Yeah, I think Chris is still trying to join as well.
Okay. I didn't know if he was. Yeah, I didn't know.
She seems like she doesn't really want to answer a whole lot without Chris there. You notice that? And I would almost imply without hand holding, but the problem is every time we've ever seen them on camera, they don't console one another at all. They don't even hold hands. The only time we've seen them touch each other is during the hands interview. That was literally the only time.
A lot of people are accusatory when we speak. It's a lie. Oh, it's not us. And
doesn't that happen to Seth? If you guys believe the same thing that these people, the mom and stepdad, complain about is the same thing that Seth Rogers endures on a daily basis, put a 1 in the chat. If you don't believe so, put a 2 in the chat. Let me gauge my audience. Oh, thank you, Robin. If you received your Bullhorn Betty membership, please don't forget to tell Robin thank you. 1. Yeah. I agree.
Yeah. Well,
the truth is no matter what any of y'all think, I didn't do anything to my son. My husband didn't do anything to my son. We love him dearly.
She never even said Seth. She always likes to throw Seth in places too. And you know what I find awfully interesting is they constantly cover their face so people can't see them. But Seth still stands out in the front public, ready to answer any questions, ready to take any interview, and he's ready to bring his son home. He endures the exact same thing as these yahoos, but he still went out in the woods and searched for months. He still does prayer vigils every few months for his son, prayers to bring his son home safely. These people have found every single excuse to run away from home and hide from their son, hide from the public, and now hide from law enforcement. From our understanding, there has been an attorney that has been had, and invocation of rights that have been said by Katie Proudfoot. Now, I don't know if Chris has invoked his right to remain silent or not, but we heard through the grapevine, definitely Katie. I'm not even sure where that came from, but I believe it. So I just find it awfully funny that they're using this excuse when Seth has never used it as an excuse. Ever. Let's keep going.
And we are doing everything that we can to try and find him and bring him home. And
except search. I don't know what everything, I guess it's subjective. I didn't know everything you can would be so subjective. But I would think that everything you can do would require leaving your home and searching for a child that you have 90% of the time. I would just say, figuratively speaking.
Love him dearly, and we are doing everything that we can to try and find him and bring him home. And his father loves him dearly as well.
Mm-hmm. Well,
Let's go back.
There's a lot of questions
that we can to try and find him and bring him home. And his father loves him dearly as well.
Mm-hmm.
I hear loves with an S. Hold on.
Well,
the truth is no matter what any of y'all think, I didn't do anything to my son. My husband didn't do anything to my son. We love him dearly, and we are doing everything that we can to try and find him and bring him home. And his father loves him dearly as well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not hearing loved. I'm hearing loves with an S. We'll have to pay attention to that a little closer, but I'm monitoring chat, so keep letting me know so we can check it. On my end, I'm hearing loves with an S. But I don't have the best hearing, y'all. You guys got to remember, I only have one. My left ear is the only one that works. So I could be mishearing this all day long. I don't have like earphones in to listen to it better. You'll have to let me know.
Well, there's a lot of questions that people have and a lot of what ifs. And, I know sometimes it's tough. I mean, I've seen a lot of cases like this, and I know,
So you hear how, and in my opinion, Smiley is being she's being kind. She's not being nasty. She's trying to, find her words to speak so she's not offensive. She's working very hard to make Katie feel comfortable.
I wouldn't want to be in your shoes. Let me say that. I would not want to be in your shoes.
I wouldn't want anybody to have to be in my shoes, to be honest with you. It's nothing any parent should ever have to go through.
Right. I've seen in my own family, I've actually had a runaway, and I ended up.
I'm letting this play because I think I don't care what happens. I just find it odd where Katie drops off at. It's like she had to get off to say, like, tell Chris to come on or something. You're going to see her just drop off in the middle of Smiley's conversation here.
Murder, and I know it's not the same. It's not my child. Although I have lost a child, and this is not about me, it's about Sebastian. But I will tell you, nobody should have to sit in your shoes. There's not words that I can say. But also I do have an autistic son, and I know many do.
So boom, just right there in the middle of that, we know that at their house, they have decent internet service. Their community has good internet service. I was out there. I had no problems running my phones. I had no problems getting on lives. I had no dead zones. So I just thought it was awfully sus when she actually dropped off. But she comes back on almost immediately, though.
I'll drop her link again. I'm dropping it again. I think she's having a bad signal. I don't know where she's at. She may be where she can't get the signal good. Here she is back. Okay, Katie. Okay, there you go. Sorry about that. And you may have a bad signal somewhere. I don't know if you're having like rain or anything, but it keeps going in and out, but that's okay. But anyway, the main thing is people just have a lot of questions and just trying to make sense of everything. And you're here. Okay, Chris, I'm dropping the link again. I told nobody not to get it but you.
See? You see what I said about how peculiar it was that she dropped and how long it was that she stayed off? It seemed like she was making a call or texting. She didn't want to be on this panel by herself. She can't answer any questions alone. What is she so scared of making a mistake of? The truth is the truth no matter what. Just my opinion. My opinion is, like buttholes. Everybody got one.
Here you go, sir. Oh, drop again. Sorry. There you go. If you'll just click on that. But I do, still with anything that we personally go through, there's nothing, it's not the same. And I understand that. And so I am very sorry. I'm very sorry for you all three of you. I can
chicken lady.
I can feel when his dad talks, Seth, I can feel that pain. And it's just different. I'm not trying again to accuse, like I said, anybody. I'm just trying to make sense of everything. And that's all I can say. I can't be fake. I have to be honest, you know.
Well,
So,
it's your opinion and you're entitled to it, obviously, but I can tell you that the pain that his father and I, and even my husband, are feeling right now is immeasurable, to be honest with you.
Even my husband. Interesting how she worded that.
And I have never in my life would I have ever dreamed that this would be a reality.
yes, ma'am. I don't think anybody ever thinks this will happen to them. Hey, Chris.
Hey.
Yeah, you surprised me calling me. You surprised me calling me, but I'm glad I could bring you on. And
See, it sounds like they asked to come on her show. They reached out to her. And you hear the attitude they have coming up on their show, where thousands of people are in chat, by the way, because I was live. I was in the chat with everybody there. And you have the father on the Nancy Grace show talking about his son, but he's not talking about everything. If you hear how he's treating Nancy, he's treating her respectfully, thankful that he's on her show to share his son's story. And then you've got the opposite going on Smiley's Story World. So let's get back to Seth, see how he's handling the interview, how disgruntled he is about how his life is without his son, and see if he makes it all about himself or if he makes it about his son.
That from News Channel 5. So we don't know if there's a burglar alarm. Was a window open in Sebastian's home, in his room?
Not that I'm aware of.
Well, Nancy, we don't know. We do know that they did search the perimeter of the house. And I know one day when I was out there, when they were searching, they had a dive team out there. They were searching the grounds, but the area is very, some parts of it is very rural, and they're doing a lot of construction around the area. So there's a lot of construction, lots of subdivisions being built in that area. And like you mentioned earlier, the flashlights in the backyard, that was a very common area where people could potentially be walking, but it is odd at that early in the morning that there were 2 flashlights, in considering that's what detectives are saying, that they believe that Sebastian left the home barefoot with the flashlight. So that is very odd. But as you can see in these pictures here, it's a very rural area. They've called in teams from across Tennessee. I mean, they've gone as far east, as far west, bringing in different units to come search the property. They've drained ponds. They're looking everywhere, and they've searched about a 10-mile radius in thousands of miles, just going back and forth, until unfortunately they had to scale back that search.
So Seth, what time did you get to the home that day?
I got the message at about 7:20. I was there at about 8 o'clock.
So
7:20. He has maintained that time. It is very, very crucial for me to think that a child is missing. You call the father before you call law enforcement, but for literally weeks, we were told that call to law enforcement was immediate. Then why is a call to Seth at 6:20? But we have it confirmed by law enforcement dispatch logs that the call came in at 6:33, 13 minutes after they reached out to Seth. She's in hysterics, and they stopped the hysteria to call the father first. How does that make sense? I'm just explaining the facts here. To me, doesn't make sense. 6:20 is when they call Seth. 6:33 is when they call law enforcement's non-emergency dispatch line.
Immediately. When you got to the home, tell me about the state of the home.
The home was clean. I mean, it looked like it normally did when I walked in.
So were there any signs of forced entry at the front or back door or on Sebastian's window that you could observe?
No. There was none.
Was anything
Back
stolen from the home?
Not that I was informed of.
Okay. Do you know if there are burglar lights, motion sensor lights that would turn on if someone moved on the perimeter of the home?
No, ma'am.
Okay. I'm trying to understand his daily routine. Did Sebastian get up every morning and go to school?
Yes, ma'am.
What school?
Beach High School.
How far away?
I think it's like 0.6 miles.
0.6
miles. Did you say 6 miles?
0.6.
0.6 miles, very close to home. Did he walk or take a bus or ride a bike?
He rode the bus.
He rode the bus. Is he mainstreamed? He is autistic. Is he mainstreamed with other students?
He's in their Why We Try program.
What is that?
It's for the special needs children, where they are doing the same tasks that the mainstream does, but they get a little bit extra time. You know, if they have like 30 questions, and then in the Why We Try program, they get like 20, and they get extra time to answer them. So they're still learning the same stuff.
Okay, I'm trying to understand. That morning, your wife calls you, your ex calls you about 7:20 a.m. Would that have been on a school day?
No, it was her husband that called me.
Okay, was that at 7:20 a.m.?
No, 7:20 a.m. is when I got to my vehicle, because I got off of work at 7. My shift ended at 7. By the time I found out to make sure that I didn't have to stay over or anything, then I got to my truck about 7:20, and they had texted me and tried to call me on my cell phone at around 6:20.
You guys hear that? Same story. Every interview that he has ever done talking about this event has been the same. There's no inconsistencies in his statement when it comes to how he found out about his son's disappearance. That to me is huge.
And you found out about it at 7:20, is that correct?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Mr. Rogers, did he go missing on a school day?
From my understanding, she put him to bed Sunday night, and yes, Monday morning he's missing.
Okay, so he's in his room Sunday night, Monday morning he's gone out of his home. Could you tell me the level of the severity of his autism?
He's very intelligent. He's very smart. He just lacks social skills and reading of people's body language. He likes things to be in a routine. He likes to control his environment.
Likes his thing in a routine. Likes to control his environment. These are critical words, because if a child is going to run out of a home, they're going to take the items related to their routines to maintain that control over their environment. He is very intelligent, his father says, much different than what we had learned from the mom and stepfather. Now, they never explained it to the public that he's a very smart kid and just lacks social skills. That's about it. He's doing the same type of work as the kids in his class. He's just being, he has additional time to talk about it. So, or to take the test and to do the work, rather. So much different than what we've heard from the mom and stepfather. At first, we didn't even know if Sebastian could speak, if he was nonverbal or verbal. So let's go back to his father here. Let's just go back 15 seconds.
He's very intelligent. He's very smart. He just lacks social skills and reading of people's body language. he likes things to be in a routine. He likes to control his environment.
He likes to control his environment.
I'm looking at Sebastian right now, and
I'm sorry, that statement right there, that he likes routine and likes to control his environment. How is walking out of a house without even your shoes on or your jacket routine or controlling your environment? That is the most out of control environment you could be in, right? The ugly world. His home, his room is controlled. So based on that assessment alone, it makes it very difficult to believe this child just got up and walked out of the home, let alone walked out of the home on a cold night without a jacket or without shoes.
it is breaking my heart thinking of this young boy, this autistic boy, possibly out in the wild, possibly with strangers he doesn't know. What would his reaction be to that, Seth Rogers?
I don't know, because I've never seen him have to deal with this. Most of the time, if he's with me, he gets his information from me about interacting with people.
God bless you guys.
If I sit there and I'm meeting new people, I talk to him. It's like, son, you can introduce yourself if you would like. If he does, he does. If he doesn't want to, I don't make him.
Seth, when was the last time you can verify that he was alive and well?
When I talked to him on Thursday.
How often do you see him?
I get to see him every other weekend. If he's on like a spring break or a fall break, or he's got an extended time away from school for like school days. When we had the weather was bad out here and they canceled school, he was with me. Summer breaks, I get him whenever he's not in school, except
Seth,
for the week.
So every time he's not in school, he's shuttled over to his dad's house, which his dad doesn't mind having him there. Of course, his father doesn't mind. His father's happy to be with him. But you know what? This is a pattern that it appears, Katie doesn't mind him having to deal with him at nights and, every other weekend, but she doesn't seem to want to take care of him full time when he's off school. Or it just might be the way it's all written up in their paperwork because Seth wants to have as much time with his son as humanly possible. I don't know. But I just find it a little odd.
Have the opportunity to be with Sebastian. Isn't it true that you exercise that opportunity? You are with him every chance possible under the law.
Yes, ma'am.
Guys, I'm bringing in the rest of the panel. You are hearing Seth Rogers describe the moment. He gets off of work at around 7 a.m., gets to his vehicle, and realizes his wife and the stepdad have been calling and texting him, thank you, since around 6:20-ish a.m. It's on a Monday morning to tell him his son, an autistic boy, is missing from their home.
All right. So now we're hearing Seth. He's wanting his son. He's talking about his son. He's talking about the arrangements of when he gets to visit his son. And every opportunity he does under the law to be with his son, he is. Let's go back and let's listen to the mom and see if mom what mom has to say about these things. Let's see the difference in attitude and demeanor.
And, hopefully, talk about this. A lot of people's just interested. I know it's irritating, and I know it's irritating. Me included. I know I am too, but we're.
See, and she's being ultra nice, just trying to explain that's, that we're just trying to find Sebastian. We understand it's a difficult process, much like what Seth is going through, right? Except he wasn't in control of the situation when his son disappeared. He was at work. His son was with his ex-wife.
We're just all, we all have opinions, and there's no stone we can leave unturned. We have to think outside the box. And I know it's irritating to y'all. I know it's irritating to everybody, but we all want Sebastian found. And, I just told Katie, we just have to go with, we all have our opinions, and they may not always be good, but.
Yes, I wanted to address that. This was not even 30 days after his son disappeared. Can you imagine how he is approaching the 1-year milestone of not being able to see his son, hug his son? Even when you miss your son or your daughter, you miss even the fights. You miss even the pesky stuff that always annoyed you. You miss it. You miss those little squabbles. You miss the squabbles too, Why didn't one of CP or KP call the job for such an emergency? Answer that, Chris and Kate. Yeah, right? Great question.
My heart's in the right place, but go ahead and I'll let you start or whatever you want to do.
So there's Tom too. Do me a favor. I got to drop out of this. I got to make a phone call real quick, and I will be back. This is one call. I don't care. I don't miss this phone call because it's my daughter.
No, you go ahead.
Come back and hang tight. Give me about 5-10 minutes. I'll be right back.
You're fine. You're fine. We'll be here.
Is that good?
You're okay. Hold on.
Hello?
That's me. I'm gonna knock you off for a minute. You just come back when you're ready.
He said it was his daughter, but it sounds like it was somebody moving trucks. Huh. Interesting.
Okay. So I think he's on mute. Okay. So Katie.
That'll clarify that side of the question everybody's been asking. No, he does not have a restraining order from his daughter. He speaks to her, just to go ahead and clear that one out, because I know there's been a lot of talk about that as well.
Was that a setup so she could say that? Because he said it was his daughter, but you could clearly hear somebody in the back talking about moving trucks.
Yeah. So, he still speaks to her on the phone, as y'all see.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Our little girl is precious and loved, just like Sebastian.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So somebody's wanting to know, that question's come up a couple of times, and I don't mean to be rude. I'm just going to ask that. I have saw it, like, do y'all, do you not call her y'all's daughter, since y'all call him y'all's son?
We do, and a lot of people are reading into it. It's just how we talk. Our boy, our girl, my son, my daughter, his son, his daughter. They're our children, but our children also have other parents as well.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Both of our children have more than just two parents.
Yeah. And I know you probably have been asked this on several channels. Y'all have been on several channels. Is there a reason that Chris hasn't seen him since? I know it had to do with the work, but why did he say he hadn't seen Sebastian since the 1st of February?
Because that's the truth. He hadn't seen him since the beginning of February.
Is there a reason for that?
He's working 3.5 hours away. He don't come home after work.
So was he, I'm just wondering, was he gone for 3 weeks or 2.5 weeks or something like that?
He'd been gone since the beginning of February was the last time he was actually home. Christopher was actually home. And yes, he did see Sebastian when he come home.
Okay.
It's just part of it when you work away, you see each other when you can.
I just want to bring to everybody's, think box is that she seems awfully defensive in this interview. Very, very highly, she seems defensive, offended, a chip on her shoulder. And she's going through the same things that Seth's going through, but Seth has a way to talk about his son. So far, out of all this, they've talked about faith, they talked about them, they talked about the father, they talked about the stepfather. I just don't get it.
But he doesn't. It's a lot to travel back and forth all the time. Like, that's not a trip that you can make, to and from every day by any means.
Oh, I get that. That's not something you want to do every day. That would take up your whole time. But did he never come home on the weekends, like when you had Sebastian or anything like that?
Well, yeah, that's why he saw him in the beginning of February, but it wasn't every weekend.
Okay.
Because he works on weekends too a lot, so he can't just come home every weekend. But when he...
Was she lying for Chris, or has Chris been lying to her? Because what I didn't realize is that job at St. Jude's is shut down on the weekends. It's shut down on the weekends. I thought it was open because I only went out there on Sunday. I went out there. I got in town like Saturday night, or Saturday afternoon, so I could, get a lay of the land the next morning and be there at 5:15 to see if the gates were open and, drive around that area. And when I got there, I drove by around noon or 1:00 on Saturday, and the job was closed down. Everything was locked up. So I just assumed that they either didn't work or that they shut up. They stopped everything around noon and just did a half day. But then I learned from somebody else, it may have very well been Silver, that said that the place wasn't open Saturday either. I got there later Saturday, like afternoon, like 1 or 2. I can't remember the specific time or date. Or I remember the date, but I couldn't remember the specific time. No, it wasn't on Saturday, was it? I went there on a Sunday because I was there first thing Monday, not Sunday. So Sunday I got there in the afternoon and the place was closed. So I didn't know, but I did hear from somebody, and I think it was Silver's, that Saturday the place is closed too. So I just found this odd. Is she making an excuse for him, or has he been telling her he's been working weekends at this job when he has not been?
He does. He comes home and sees him. Yeah. They have a pretty good relationship.
Did he talk on the phone with Sebastian while he was at work?
He does. Mm-hmm.
Okay. All right.
He wants to see if you can drop the link again. I think.
Okay. Yes, absolutely. Here we go. Paste.
I know they talk regularly.
I think you're right.
Okay. Yeah, there we go.
That might. Oh my gosh! You know what? You might have put the puzzle piece together. The real Me Too. Because I don't believe it was the 10th or 12th. I thought it was like the 7th or 9th. But that would have been the beginning part of the month. And we do know that there was a meeting, some type of meeting, where they were bad-mouthing Seth until he got there. I did hear rumors of that. And that would have been at the beginning of February. Maybe he came in for that counseling meeting or whatever it was. Maybe that's why he was there that specific weekend. I don't know.
All right, there we go.
A lot of people have their opinions, but Sebastian's got a good bond with both dads.
Yeah.
If you believe that statement, put a 1 in the chat. If you do not believe that statement, put a 2 in the chat. He has a good relationship with CP. Do you believe that Sebastian Rogers had a good relationship with his stepdad? 1, yes. 2, no. Sebastian parent meeting at school. Yes. Right. Exactly, 5D. Exactly. Yeah. I don't think he has. I think that was liar, liar all day long. Liar, liar all day long. There's no way he had a good relationship. She's either blind or she's just lying. Yes, exactly. Strange.
I think I'm trying to make sure I drop it again because I want to make sure he sees it. I'm not fancy like everybody else, so I just need to make sure get it down there.
All right, now that we're done, let's listen to Seth. Let's listen to Seth while she gets him up.
From what I can tell right now, you heard Aaron Cantrell jumping in earlier, and thank you for that, Aaron. Please don't hold back, Aaron. We're not having high tea at Windsor Castle. Aaron is joining us from News Channel 5 in Nashville. Aaron, thank you for being with us. I don't hear anything so far about a forced entry, about a window being open, about anything being taken from the home. I understand that the mother put him to bed at regular bedtime for school the next morning, and that around 6 to 6:20 a.m. Monday morning, she says she goes into his bedroom to wake him, and he is gone. Aaron or Seth or anyone else on the panel, do we know that anything else was missing, such as his backpack, a cell phone, something he liked? Do we know anything about anything missing from the home? Anybody?
His mother said that he's missing a keychain flashlight. That's it.
His keychain flashlight. Interesting, Seth Rogers. When I come in, I put my driver's license and credit cards, which are in a rubber band. That's my pocketbook. All of that and my key in a certain spot in the kitchen.
And
rarely do I put it anywhere else. This is what I'm asking, Seth. You told me that your son, autistic boy, Sebastian, likes things in a certain way in a routine, like many of us. Would he have had that flashlight, and I believe you said keys, flashlight and keys attached to each other?
It's a keychain flashlight. It's a flashlight that would go on your keys.
I bet he always put them in a certain place, didn't he?
In my house, all of his stuff is in his upper drawer. When the police showed up at my house to look, upper drawer, house key, wallet, everything's in his upper drawer.
Aaron Cantrell, News Channel 5 Nashville. Yes. Hold on just one moment. Joining me right now is an expert, a board-certified behavior analyst, an autism expert, chief clinical officer with Little Stars Therapy Services, Courtney Lasky. Thank you so much for being with us. Isn't it true that autistic children, like many of us, like things to be in a certain order for many, many varied reasons? If this was missing from Sebastian's home, I would venture to hypothesize he took it with him.
Correct. Yes. And, without knowing Sebastian personally, I can't make any assumptions about his behavior, but knowing that this was not a typical history for him to wander, to leave the house in the middle of the night, it is interesting that he did leave with that keychain flashlight.
Interesting, she says.
Another thing, which is quite the dichotomy, Courtney Lasky, and I'm going to throw this to you as well, Seth Rogers. If he was in such routine, as I believe he was, due to his circumstances being autistic, why would he have left without his shoes? That is not his routine. This is not a child that leaves a home without his shoes. First of all, Seth, how do I know he didn't have his shoes?
3 pairs of shoes were at the front.
It is interesting that he did leave without his.
I would venture to hypothesize he took it with him.
Correct. Yes. And, without knowing Sebastian personally, I can't make any assumptions about his behavior, but knowing that this was not a typical history for him to wander, to leave the house in the middle of the night, it is interesting that he did leave with that keychain flashlight.
You know, another thing, which is quite the dichotomy, Courtney Lasky, and I'm going to throw this to you as well, Seth Rogers. If he was in such routine, as I believe he was, due to his circumstances being autistic, why would he have left without his shoes? That is not his routine. This is not a child that leaves the home without his shoes. First of all, Seth, how do I know he didn't have his shoes?
3 pairs of shoes were at the front door. His old tennis shoes, his new tennis shoes that his mama had just bought him, and the boots that I had just bought him. His mama had told me
wore another set of shoes.
His feet were growing.
There was no other pairs of shoes. There was 3 pairs of shoes: an old pair of shoes, his new tennis shoes, and new boots.
The last time I had him for that, the last weekend I had him, his mama told me that his shoes weren't fitting anymore. And she asked me to get him shoes. And we wanted a pair of boots, so we went to Boot Barn and got him a pair of boots.
Is it possible he wore a different pair of shoes?
I don't think so, because if he's not fitting into them, she gets rid of them.
Okay, let me tell you something, Seth. My son and daughter have one of those shoe racks over the back of their closet door. And I see those closet doors 10 times a day. I would see if shoes were missing. I would know that.
There's no shoes in his room.
Okay, there's my answer. He left without his shoes on.
Shoes get...
There's no shoes in his bedroom.
Taken off at the front door, same as my house.
Same here. I always have people take their shoes off at the door. Just habit. So there were no shoes in his room. All his shoes were still sitting at the door. Can we confirm that, Seth?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Guys, you may think, why is she asking and asking and asking about the same thing?
You notice how she does the same thing with Chris and Katie when she interviews them, but you see him being loose and telling her information as opposed to being very robotic.
I'll tell you why. Behavioral evidence of routine. Hold on, Courtney Lasky, because this touches on you as well. Dr. Sherry Schwartz is with me, forensic psychologist specializing in victim advocacy at panthermitigation.com. Dr. Sherry, thank you for being with us. Dr. Sherry, when I say routine evidence, I don't mean mundane evidence, just, the regular evidence. I mean evidence of routine. For instance, if I came and sat down in this chair in this studio and Jackie was not right there, she would either be dead or on the way or in the hospital, period, because that's her routine, right? So this autistic child would not have left in the middle of the night without a pair of shoes on. And that is telling me something probatively. It proves something to me. What do you think of it, Dr. Sherry?
I agree completely, Nancy. I actually saw an interview that Mr. Rogers gave about this particular issue and how when he was younger, Sebastian, he went outside barefoot and he stepped into an anthill of fire ants. And so Dad doesn't believe that he would go out barefoot. And so this goes to that behavioral evidence that you're talking about. This is another fact that's very important that we need to pay attention to, because this is not something that Sebastian would normally do. And we know this because he's had a prior experience. So these are really important cues in an investigation like this.
Important cues.
Dr. Sherry Schwartz, a lot of people may think that means nothing, that I can't find his shoes, but it means a lot to me. And I guarantee you it would mean a lot to any mother or father hearing this evidence. Seth, what does it mean to you? Was he prone to go outside and wander around at all, period, number one, at night in the dark, number two, and without his shoes on, number three? Would he ever have done that, Seth?
No. I mean, the only time he goes outside at night at my house is to put the trash in the trash can, which is right outside my front door. That's it.
I'm very curious about this. And one more thing, what's on my mind? Does he have social media, Seth?
No, he does not.
Okay, good. I can rule that out, or at least we don't think he does. Does he have a cell phone?
He does have a cell phone.
Where's the cell phone?
At his mom and stepfather's.
So he didn't take his cell phone. Seth, is he like every other boy in America glued to his cell phone? Does
When
he love
he
his
has
cell
access
phone?
to it, he
What
loves
do you
it.
mean by that? When does he have access?
When he has access to like YouTube and stuff like that, he is glued to his phone because he likes to watch videos about Minecraft and he likes to watch videos of people playing Minecraft.
Okay, you do know that is social media because people can talk to each other on Minecraft. Did you know
No,
that? I didn't know that. I found
what I'm
out.
talking about is the videos. He watches videos of people playing it on YouTube.
Does he play it?
I think he has it for his Switch at his mom's house, but he does not.
Yeah.
And he's glued to that all
Okay.
the time.
We need a forensic search of that phone pronto, Seth, because I find it very curious if he went voluntarily that he didn't take the phone with him. Okay, because it'd be a cold day in HELL that either one of my 16-year-olds would go anywhere without their phone. Mm-hmm. And it's not just them. I mean, everybody takes their phone with them everywhere they go. It's like their magic wand. You can't be without it. So I find it interesting. Did the mom have the phone put away? Could he have taken it with him?
Most of the time I've seen the phone plugged in on the counter on the little bar in their kitchen.
Okay, I'm going to Courtney Lasky joining us, expert in children and teens with autism. Courtney, you've been listening. Weigh in.
Yes, I absolutely agree with you, Nancy. This is a very unusual pattern of behavior that we're looking at. If this child has access to a cell phone, like you said, Minecraft is social media, YouTube is social media, anywhere that he would have access and the ability to talk with others. My concern would be related to his autism diagnosis and that deficit in communication and understanding of social skills. Is it possible that peers at school or someone has contacted him through these gaming methods? Bullying, peer pressure, was he persuaded to leave perhaps from his mom's house in the middle of the night?
I know
Is that you jumping in, Seth?
Yes, ma'am. I know that his phone was locked down. He had no internet access. He only had the ability to take pictures on his phone, text on his phone, FaceTime, and telephone calls. Everything else was locked down on his phone.
Have the police looked at his phone? Have they taken his phone to look at who he may have been speaking to?
Yes, ma'am.
Question: Where is this coming? Where's this coming from, Aaron Cantrell? That people saw flashlights, two people with flashlights around the property the night that Sebastian disappears, and I keep seeing in all the headlines the night that Sebastian wandered off barefoot. I don't think that's what happened. Mm-hmm. He's never wandered off before. What? Go ahead, dear.
Yes, ma'am. Well, we got that video a little later, so we just got that video maybe and released it within like the last week or so. But this is from just neighborhood video, like the Ring doorbell cameras. In that subdivision from the reporting, there's not street lights there, so that's why it's so pitch black and it's so late at night. But you see those two flashlights. But what's interesting is where these lights are, it's almost a common area, so it wouldn't be odd if someone may have been out at that time walking their dog or something of that nature. But the fact that Sebastian did leave with a flashlight, and there are two flashlights seen in that video, and it is pitch black. Very concerning.
Put him up. Why do you keep saying Sebastian did leave? Why are you saying that? Would you go out in the middle of the night and leave without your shoes on? I'm just curious. Would you, Aaron?
No, you make a good point. I would not leave without my shoes.
I wouldn't either.
I don't think you would either. Even more so because you're hearing Courtney Lasky and Seth Rogers state this boy is autistic. He doesn't think the same way we think. We have to try to think like him. He liked everything in a particular routine. His routine was he wore shoes every time he went out after the ant bed incident. Okay? So, no. Why would he go missing? And let me ask you something else, Aaron Cantrell. Isn't it true that Emergency Management Agency Director Ken Widener has told us
No, that's not necessarily true. On the Switch, and we've confirmed this. The Switch, they can pay for games that aren't online, and he, from my understanding, bought games, and the games themselves that he purchased were uploaded onto his Switch, so he could play them. The Switch itself, it was not connected to the internet. I know a lot of people get the products that are, but they specifically got the ones that they could control the internet, and it sounds like they paid privately for the games, and the games were privately uploaded on the Switch.
That the canines could not pick up a scent outdoors.
Exactly. They have not been able to pick up a scent. They had a false hit, but then that did not turn out to be anything, because when Sebastian went missing, it was kind of a warm day that first day, but after the next day of the search, it went extremely cold. It was rainy, which made it even more concerning, because here you have this 15-year-old who has autism with no shoes on and, maybe a sweatshirt and sweatpants, but it is now cold. So they were concerned about hypothermia as well. So a lot of factors kind of changed the search as well. But they have not picked up a scent at all.
So now we're hearing the breakdown of the case on the Nancy Grace show, the real one, not the one that this family needs to believe. This is coming from a news reporter. She's got a good panel. She's got a news reporter. She's got a clinical psychologist. She's got an expert in adolescent autism on the panel. She's got a good panel up there to advise her properly, so it's not just a one-sided conversation here. And so we're hearing that this is not really looking very good for the mom and stepdad. Could that be why they're so offensive on Smiley Story World? We're going to go back over here for just another 5 or 10 minutes, and then we're going to end the show there, and we'll pick it back up 10 a.m. tomorrow morning, going down this path.
That's what I was doing, was watching to see if he was coming. Oh, there he is. Oh. Watching over here. Okay, I'm watching over there. Okay, so where do you want to start at this? I was just asking little simple questions, or whatever about your work and stuff. Like, did you talk to Sebastian and stuff like that? But basically, I know it's a 3.5 hour drive. You was at work. Is there a reason that, okay, so are you working now, or are you just taking off or anything like that, like for a certain amount of time?
So is this to me?
Yes. Yes, sir.
Okay. So are you asking me that, or is one of your people?
No, I'm asking you that.
Wow. So asking questions shouldn't be a problem. Answering, very nice. Just wants to know. Already got the attitude. Who gives a rat's ass who asked the question? Answer the freaking question. He called Smiley to be on this show to act this way. Both of them.
Just wondered. Okay. Like, if you, I was just wondering, like, if you, like, are you, in fact, I'll turn my chat off for just a minute so I don't get
No, don't turn your chat off. Leave it on. It's fine.
Okay.
That way you can get all these questions coming in, because like I said, I told you, I gave you my word. I'd come on your show. I would answer questions. People ask the questions, but keep in mind, like I told y'all from the very beginning, I'm brash, I'm direct, but I'm respectful. And I ask for the same in everybody else.
Yeah, and I told them a while ago, just please be respectful, because I wasn't expecting this. Like, please be respectful, y'all, because.
So one thing right now, I'm gonna tell you right now, really irks me with some of these folks that want to follow these YouTube, and I'm very honest about this. Somebody says I won't talk to men. Not that I don't want to talk.
What does who talks to who have anything to do with Sebastian Wayne Drake Rogers or information? Do you hear the conversation, the interview, the classy interview being had on the Nancy Grace show about Sebastian Rogers? She's asking him pointed questions about what happened to Sebastian. He's being frank with Nancy Grace. You get over here, you got a mom and stepdad that called Smiley wanted to be on this show. He's here answering questions, and both Katie and him have a chip on their shoulder and have been utterly rude to Smiley in front of thousands of people. I think this interview got 39,000 views. This interview alone.
Right. It's not that I don't want to talk to men. I have talked to more law enforcement men agencies in the past 24 days than I've probably ever talked to my entire life. Same thing goes for women. So no, I don't have a problem talking to a man or talking to
It's a culture in Tennessee, y'all. I will tell you that. The Tennessee men out there, they do not like a strong-willed woman unless it's their mama. Okay? And I can tell you, you get, as a woman in Tennessee and in Sumner County, you get talked down to. Okay? It's a cultural thing that needs to change, by the way. Definitely something I picked up on.
woman. I appreciate everybody's assumptions or concerns, innuendos, whatever they want to be. But at the same time, I vet who I talk to. I'm not just going to open up and talk to anybody. And I will put this out there. JLR, everybody wants me to talk to this guy. Explain to me, Smiley, you probably have a better understanding of this. Explain to me why I should talk to JLR.
I just really wish you would, because
well, he's working with him now, so it doesn't really matter.
He does, because he does go out everywhere, and he wants the truth. I mean, and he may not get the truth out of you, but I have seen him literally go in places deep, like scary places, and like really just try to get the truth and try to like follow people that's just taking him in the woods or whatever, show him places, whatever, that he didn't know from Adam. He goes from one place to another. He may be on a plane to Mexico. Next time he might be in California, whatever. And, you know, I mean, he's grown a lot. I just think a lot of people don't give him a chance. That's just my honest opinion.
Because it's a facade. That's why. To answer your question, Shelley, if you guys can get a hold of him and speak to him and get him in touch with me, I would absolutely give him an opportunity to speak. Maybe he's a little more comfortable speaking, but you got to remember he already came forward once and then went kind of silent, so he could have been threatened himself. There's been a lot of threats that have been wielded from certain parties to people searching for the truth. Just FYI.
Right. Do you know why people don't want to give this man a chance?
Well, go ahead and tell me. I mean, I want your opinion.
I'll tell you, because he's a piece of shit.
So I'm going to tell you my personal opinion.
Okay.
Okay. This is my personal opinion. This is nobody else's, not my wife's, not anybody else's. My personal opinion.
Okay.
So I did my due diligence, and I read up on Jonathan Lee Rich. Excuse me. I read up on him. Not necessarily the best character in the world. When you start reading and the first thing comes up, everything that you can find on this individual. Now, I don't know him, Adam, from Eve. I really don't. He don't know me, Adam, from Eve. But when he opens his mouth and goes out there and starts spreading lies, and yes, lies, because unless you got hardcore evidence.
Here comes the evidence talk again. Something that we don't hear from innocent parents. They don't talk about evidence and proof.
And yes, lies. Because unless you got hardcore evidence that I'm an abusive husband, abusive father.
We definitely have hardcore evidence that there are 5 CPS reports against this man and potentially his wife. That's hardcore evidence. We also have evidence that there's a 287 some odd page dossier out there of other non-confidential documents related to some of these abuses. So yeah, there's evidence out there. There's definitely evidence, hard, cold evidence out there.
I've got a restraining order against me. Unless you got proof, don't open your mouth, because it's real.
I'm opening my mouth. Just saying. Just saying.
Simple. I don't have any of that. Good luck finding it. I've never lied to y'all. I've been open and honest. People don't like my answers, so people want to come back with their own assumptions. And I'm so sorry that I can't open up and give you every little piece of evidence and every little detail that you know. I am terribly sorry. It sucks because when it does and it can come out, my only question to everybody else is, when are you going to start issuing public apologies? That's not to you. That is.
Wow. A month in and we want public apologies with no child that disappeared from their home. That'll be a cold day and HE double hockey sticks. Just letting you know. For everybody out there, just letting y'all know. Cold day and HE double hockey sticks.
To everybody that wants to come out and badmouth people that don't understand and don't have a clue what's going on.
All right, so now we're through where we're going to stop for this evening. As you guys can see, polar opposites. I think I picked up two competing interviews on the same exact day to show you the differences of the body language, their behavior, their attitude, their demeanor, their state of mind. It is definitely, without a doubt, polar opposite. And you wonder why. And you wonder why we're all here. We see a father desperate to find his son, and we see two people hindering that process from where I sit. And this is way back when. Now you fast forward to almost a year later. There ain't no apologies for anybody. All I want to see is handcuffs at this point. We know what we know. We know what we know. Hey, Sec2, nice to see you, love bug. Hugs and kisses. All right, guys, I believe Justin is coming on or should be on soon. So I don't want to intrude on that process, that time too much. So, guys, I love you. Thank you for coming and hanging out with me. I'm hoping you guys are learning something. If nothing more, just relieving your mind. I'm about to do the poll now. Let me see where we are in the poll. We have 600. Hold on, I'm waiting for the stuff to go up. So who shows more love to Sebastian? We have 10% KK. I'm gonna need my bullshit button here for the 10%.
Bullshit level DEFCON 5.
1% Chris. There's literally nobody, and I mean nobody in chat that believes Chris loves this child. 1%. I'm not lying and I'm not laughing. I'm laughing because it's obvious. And even the haters, like, if there's something we can all come together on, because the trolls are in here, they took the poll, right? Now, if there's something that we all agree on, is that Chris didn't love this child. That's the one thing we can all agree on. Oh, let me go ahead and hit the poll. Let me end the poll so you guys can see what I'm talking about. Let me end the poll. Okay, here it is. It's coming up. There we go. So 10% of BSers believe that the mommy loves her son. 6% believe that anyone else. But we all agree Chris didn't care one iota. Well, maybe 1%. But overwhelming 82% of our audience, and that includes haters and trolls, we all agree Seth loves his son and shows Sebastian a hell of a lot more love than anyone else. And I absolutely get behind that. I want to thank all the people that came in here and showed love to Bullhorn Betty and chat. Lady Justice, Outer Banks, Show Poodle, Pamela, thank you. Nani with us for 28 months. Melanie, thank you so much. Grace upon grace. Dusty, Garbage Girl, thank you so much. Robin, thank you. Eeyore, thank you. Robin, again, thank you. For all the people that became members this evening, if you received your membership from Outer Banks, Show Poodle, Pam, Grace upon Grace, Dusty Garbage Girl, Robin or Eeyore Blues, please don't forget to tell them thank you so much for your gifted membership. I hope you appreciate it. Thank you so much for supporting this channel. And welcome to this crazy crew we call the Coffee Club, i.e. the Insane Asylum. We'll throw another one out there for good measure. And since you guys were great today, we are going to do a mullet party. Do the mullet.
If you shave your cooch, but not your booty hole, is that the same as a mullet?
My tongue got her ass and left. I'm on TV. Oh, shit. First cops, now this. Oh.
I'm sorry. I just like the lion. As you see, I have incorporated the lion because I feel like we are the lions, right? We shred the bull crap, right? We shred the bull crap. So anyways, guys, rock it out with your coffee beans out. Don't forget to be fearless. If you see something, say something. An ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure. And until next time, say it with me. Please be safe and kind to one another. You guys have a great day. We'll be back here to wish you guys TGIF. 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 From the East Coast to the West Coast, we are everywhere true crime is. We are asking for the public's help. We are searching in the woods. We are doing what it takes here on the Bullhorn Betty channels to find answers to the most alarming cases we have been watching on the news. I can tell you personally that I have traveled this entire country seeking these answers and bringing that content right here to you here on the Bullhorn Betty channels and Bullhorn Betty Crime Stories. We are happy with the work that we've done. We brought many answers to the public, and we have defied mainstream media in our pursuit of the truth in these cases. We will continue to work, we will continue to fight for these victims, and we will continue to tell their stories here on my channels. Welcome to the Bullhorn Betty brand of channels and the Coffee Club. Thank you for your love, thank you for your support, and more importantly, thank you for allowing me to bring these victims' stories to each and every one of you, advocating for each of these victims. God bless you. God bless America, and more importantly, God bless our victims.